Well, it's story time again, and you may find this one a little more serious than ones I've recorded in the past, but I think you may also find it to be relatively appropriate for the anniversary of an important event in all our lives. Four years ago, on March 20th, Jerry, Zachary, and I arrived at the port of Fort Lauderdale on the last Princess cruise ship to dock following the announcement of the COVID-19 cancellations. We bypassed our last two ports of call and proceeded directly to Fort Lauderdale. Upon disembarking, Homeland Security officers provided a mask and handed us a CDC document. This document indicated that we would be immediately transported to the Fort Lauderdale airport for a flight back to DFW. It listed the identified COVID symptoms and directed us to isolate for a minimum of 14 days upon returning home. We were instructed to report immediately if any COVID-19 symptoms developed. Upon arriving home, we discovered that Zachary's school had closed and his classes would be conducted online for the foreseeable future. For the next 6 months, the only time any of us left our home was when I masked up to walk our dog around the block once a day. We ordered food online and had it delivered to our home. Shopping trips were confined to Amazon. Despite our efforts to stay connected with friends and family online, the absence of direct social interaction was intensely stressful. This pattern continued until Zachary returned to in-person classes the following fall. Although we required him to change his clothes in the garage and shower immediately upon returning from school, his attendance potentially exposed us to the virus every day. Consequently, we decided to make some limited outings, fully masked of course. As soon as the vaccine became available, we got inoculated to reduce the potential risk. During this first year of the pandemic, several friends and family members succumbed to the COVID virus. I stopped keeping track when the number of deceased friends, family, and acquaintances reached 30. The first recorded COVID fatality in Texas was an associate of mine, a real estate development professional in his early 50s from Houston. I sadly lost two first cousins, a brother and a sister, within 1 week of each other. Like many of my friends and family in the South, they refused to get vaccinated and had heightened risk factors. Their deaths underscored for me the horror of dying unconscious and ventilated. I developed a highly accurate forecasting model and tracked the stats on the virus each day for a year. The revised forecast results were posted daily on Facebook, and once a week I put together a summary email and sent it out to folks on my mailing list. My forecasts received a very positive response, and several hundred people followed my updates. Fortunately, we successfully avoided contracting the virus during the first wave, but we were not so lucky in the subsequent waves. Zachary contracted it once, Jerry twice, and I tested positive 4 times. Only the first time for me was severe. The latter instances were somewhat milder, much like a severe case of influenza. I suspect my compromised lungs from contracting histoplasmosis in my childhood and my weakened immune system resulting from an adverse chemo reaction to my cancer treatment made me more vulnerable despite receiving a total of 5 inoculations. It is difficult for me to fathom that 4 years have passed since COVID-19 drastically altered all our lives. I remain, though, profoundly grateful that we are still here and have no long-term effects. My heart goes out to those who continue to struggle with the long-term effects of COVID-19. My deepest hope is that we never experience anything like this again in our lifetime. May God bless those departed souls and their surviving loved ones. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this story.